Okay, and we are going to classify some more shapes today. I'm going to introduce you to parallelograms, and we're going to talk about rectangles, squares, rhombuses, and trapezoids. And then just like yesterday, we'll go through the lesson, we'll do a couple examples together, then you'll go back on the Google Doc, and then there will be some independent practice for you to complete. So, all right, let's jump on in here. The first shape we're going to talk about is a parallelogram. So the way we classify a parallelogram is it is a quadrilateral with two sets of parallel lines. Hence its name, parallelogram. So parallel lines, that would be helpful to know too, are lines they're never going to cross. So they're going to go on and on forever. They will never touch. So they have, a parallelogram has two sets of these. And since it is also a quadrilateral, we know that it has four sides. Yesterday's lesson taught us that quadrilaterals have four sides. Okay, so we're going to draw a parallelogram. This can look a lot of different ways too, but typically when we say or see a parallelogram, this might be what you think. I'm gonna fix mine up here a little bit better. Parallelogram. So like these sides are parallel. We could extend the line going on and on. They're never gonna cross. And then these sides are parallel. They're gonna go, even though they're like on a slant, they'll still continue on and on in that direction and they will never cross. So here's a simple parallelogram. There are other shapes that you could have drawn, and there are other shapes that still fit the definition of a parallelogram. This is just one. Because if we think about a square or a rectangle, I'm going to draw those out real quick. They also fit that description of having two sets of parallel lines, because we could extend these lines, and then you could extend the lines this way, and they'll still go on, and they will never touch. So squares and rectangles are also parallelograms. The more and more we get into classifying shapes, this week, it's like shapes like have their own club, I guess. So rectangles and squares are in the parallelogram club. But then there are some shapes that are just in their own club. They don't fit into any other categories. So, okay. These are the shapes that you're going to see today. You're going to see in your lesson, we have rectangles like I had mentioned, we have squares, and then we also have rhombuses. Oops. A rhombus, it has to have four equal sides. That's it. So that's why, like, we can see a parallelogram, it's also a rhombus. A square can go there, that's also a rhombus. This diamond-like shape, it's also a rhombus. It just has to have four equal sides. Okay. And then the last shape I want to introduce to you, or probably refresh your memory, because you may have seen these shapes before, you will see trapezoids. So a trapezoid is a quadrilateral with only one pair of parallel sides. So they're really specific when we draw a trapezoid. Like, we have to make sure that it does only have one pair of these parallel sides. That's why this is pretty much your typical trapezoid. So there's not really like much variation we can make, because it has to have just that one parallel, those parallel sides, and then the other sides, they can't be parallel. They have to cross at some point or it's not a trapezoid. So I'm going to draw out a trapezoid. While I'm doing that, you can do that as well. I'm going to start with drawing my parallel lines again, so I know I have that, and then I'm going to connect them. Ooh. There. My trapezoid. Okay. So those are the shapes that you'll need to know for today. And when you hit back on the Google Doc, you'll have a spot where you can click and you will do some practice with these shapes and classifying them.